comes in as an elemental breathing in and out and a collapse into a celestialine wave of transmutative energy, which can actually take on any shape, any form, any place, and it works through chemical coding and all of the other combinations of electrons and types of subatomic particles going into a collapse into a very small point of light and then coming out still with its own consciousness, and it can reconstruct itself in any density, any time and place. But the most interesting thing is to know that there are maps, and the cosmic structure of the 12-tree grid, how 4 of them click in together and make a 15-dimensional time matrix of 15-dimensional physics, and how this relates in its full integrity to the whole cosmic reality within every part of the hologram. Every part of consciousness has the same construct right down into the internal workings of the first particle of consciousness, which is conscious of itself, which expanded out to become the whole consciousness. So the first particle of consciousness expanded out to become the entire consciousness with the many particles that are created within it in space-time matrices, all in relationship with itself. Apart from those, of course, which have fallen out of relationship and which can be regenerated. You know, we call them the Shona light fields, or dark light, unregenerated light, and they're disconnected from true light communication, true light and sound communication, but they can be regenerated. We learn a type of breathing. If you were to imagine that if you had one basketball at the top and then you had 2 basketballs down the bottom, but they were sort of blended together like 3 spheres sort of blended within each other. And if you could imagine that the first basketball size is what we call the Patakai, or the original particle of consciousness, and the 2 lower basketballs are the expression of itself as it replicated itself, then expresses itself into polarity as a particle and antiparticle, and as a light and sound, as electric, magnetic, as these qualities were created within the 3 spheres. Well, what we find is when you have dark light or Shona light fields or colorine rays of interfering light patterns in the hologram, they're all constructs of disassociation from God's source. So if you took the big basketball at the top and you say, well, that's God's source, and the 2 below, that's the polarity that come out of God's source. So dark light is where the top basketball is missing in the formula, and you've only got the 2 particles of duality or polarity existing in constructs of creation. In other words, they can still generate creation within the morphogenetic field that houses them, but they've got no what we call flow back to God's source. So normally God's source would flow into these other 2 particles, and then these 2 particles would report back or flow back to God's source. Well, God's source has been disconnected, but these 2 particles on their own, even in polarity, can replicate themselves, can bring forth after their own kind, and they can create within the hologram of existence. And they become dead light constructs within the living light constructs that constitute our own anatomy. And so we have a breathing sort of a technique. Once you've gone through many of the stages of understanding of how the anatomy works, a breathing technique that we call ayas breathing, or avayas breathing. So the ayas is the top particle, or the basketball size, and the 2 bottom ones are called avayas. So what we do is we create another body of ourselves. Actually, we create 2 other bodies of ourselves, and we create what we call a light oscillatory body and a sound vibratory body, and then we create a living body which is joined to those other 2 light and sound bodies. So we actually have those light and sound bodies as part of our construct, but we just start to breathe in a way that we're actually separating the light and sound body out, and we're creating another body, and we're peeling a body out of our original anatomy, and we project that peeled out body into what we call the aurora continuum, or hyperspace dimensional fields of blending elemental constructs, and we actually go in as an orb form. We actually become an orb. Many of you have seen the photos of orbs. We've seen big orb fests around the world where we've toured, we've seen billions and billions and squillions of these orbs all caught on camera, and they are visitations from high dimensional structures of ourselves that have come down at our request as we have orbed ourselves into higher dimensions and saying we want to have some communication, we want to have some connection, we want to join together with this higher structure of consciousness. So we've been able to create orb selves in the Aurora Continuum to go on adventures of learning and self-discovery, etc., and regeneration, and able to bring the breathing of those higher dimensional realms back into our atomic structure to regenerate the Shona light fields into living light structures of what we call Shalaya light. Shalaya light is just a name in the Anuhazi language. It means it's a living light structure that is a full consciousness particle that's breathing in and out of itself, and it's joined into God's source. It's joined into God's source. We have a flow from God, and we have an appreciation and a backflow to God. So we have God above us, God below us, God within us, all around us and through us, through the many time matrices of the 15-dimensional cosmic structure. And we can breathe in and out and reach out to our higher dimensional structure as we join back into the host, which is here as orbs of living light. Orbs of living light responding to our orb creation within our own information. As we generate from the inner kingdom structure, the orbs of communication to say we want to come into an elemental reconstitution and we want to receive the orbs of light from high dimensions, joining in and transmuting the energy fields of our anatomy. As you say that to yourself, what happens is you're invoking this kind of frequency through tonal signatures and through visualization, through light and sound fields. You're invoking this communication, and it brings it back into you, and you feel real change occurring within your anatomy, and you become, how would you say, more aware of higher dimensions, and you become aware of those higher parts of self, and you seem to see yourself in a much higher plane. You seem to see yourself, as in A Course in Miracles it says, above the battleground. You seem to see yourself from a very high elevated place, and you can see what's going on down below. And this world down here becomes an unreality, although you're still in here in your physicality. You're participating as a divine interface of grace flowing into time and space. That connection that you've made in higher dimensions, you're streaming living light down from above and from within you, from below you, and all around the holographic circuitry of your interdimensional reality. You're flowing out into communication here in this devastation, in this world of separation. You're flowing out the healing codes and frequencies of love, of light, of beauty, of goodness, of wholeness, of mercy, of grace, of all of the wonderful things of certainty and the amazing things that constitute the fruitfulness of the God mind, the fruitfulness of the all-loving, all-encompassing, nurturing, beautiful love of God. You're bringing them out as you walk as the Christ in the earth. You're the Christ one, bringing it out. And there are certain techniques, as I've said, to enhance this ability to become that, I don't like the word channel so much, but to become the instrument of grace in time and space, a divine interface, one that can flow forth the giving of rivers of living water, that others might come and drink of you as they would set down a taproot themselves into the throne of grace beyond time and space within themselves, that they might find their own source and connection within themselves, because this seed of Christ, it reconfigures the hardware and the software of the computation of the hologram of another that you've been sent divinely to assist. And the reconfiguring and reconstituting of the anatomy enables them to grow this seed of love within themselves, and automatically they want to do it for themselves. They won't be dependent upon you, but you became like someone just to help them to get a glimpse of the beauty and the radiant glory of their own anatomy. And I heard Christo saying before when he was reading from The Way of Mastery that's the way that Jesus sees us. Jesus sees us the way we truly are, because his mind can't perceive any of the illusion or the distortions or the Shona light fields of dead light. He can't see that. He can only see us as we truly be in the mind of God, because Jesus is using the whole mind of God. And he encourages us to use the whole mind of God too. And that's why the Bible says, let that mind be in you